Hello, Booktube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book, and I've got a new tag for everyone. If you've been watching my channel for a while, or just generally been on Booktube for a while, you may remember last year I did the Booktuber Name Tag, and this basically is a tag where I take 9 booktubers that I really like and use their names and steal them and use them as prompts for a tag. It went really well last year. Loads of people did it, and it even got translated into German, and some of the German booktubers were doing it, which was great. And it's just a great. I find making tags are just a great thing to do on Booktube. If you've never made a tag, make a tag, because it sort of spreads around Booktube and you find all these wonderful new channels. That said, this is a tag about channels, so make sure you subscribe to all of these channels that I mentioned, because they're all brilliant channels and I'm really good at finding good channels, so you will see. But yeah, let's go through these 9 prompts, and then there's a final prompt as well. And these are all 9 fresh new ones. There's no overlap from last year. And don't worry if I haven't mentioned you any of these tags. It's probably just because your name is too boring to do a tag out of, like mine. The first channel that I've made into a prompt is Books and Bocadillos, which is Mary Andrea's channel. And a bocadillo is a type of sandwich, I believe. I've never had one, but they look very delicious. And Mary Andrea's channel is quite a lot about food. So the prompt for this channel is a book which features food. And for this prompt, I'm going to go with a book that I read at the end of last year. Not at the end of last year, the end of the year before, I think, 2003. And that's the Glutton by A.K. Blakemore. And this is a book about a kind of freak show sort of thing. It's about this guy in France. I can't remember what century it is, but it's like hundreds of years ago, and he was like he had like an unending appetite and could just eat endlessly. And it's about him sort of being picked up, discovered and taken around as kind of a freak show. And it's kind of weird but very lovely writing. She kind of writes a bit like Hilary Mantel, and also I relate to it because I feel like I have an endless appetite as well. I could eat forever. So get me in the freak show. I'm going to try and not talk about the books too much because I don't want to make this tag too long. Channel number 2 and prompt number 2 is genre books, which is Gavin's channel. Gavin reads a lot of different genres, but for this prompt I'm going a book in a genre you don't usually read. Maybe your least favourite genre, but you've read one book that you really like in it, or just maybe just a genre that's not always your favourite. And I'm going to go with horror, and I would say horror's growing on me, but as I've been on Booktube I've learnt more and more horror books through Booktubers. And the best one I've read, I know I always bang on about this one, is The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, which I'm sure many of you have read or seen the TV show that this cover is from. Although I'm not sure how related the TV show is, but this book scared the bejeebus out of me, and for that reason I am saying it's my favourite book in the genre of horror, which I don't read a lot of generally. Prompt number 3 is Bookstalgic, which is Farah's channel, and this is a book that makes you feel nostalgic. So it might be a book that you read a lot when you were a kid and now it always brings back memories, or it might be a book about a place that you lived or something like that. And for that I'm going with John Wyndham's The Chrysalids. My brother stole a lot of John Wyndham books from our school when we were kids, and he was kind of one of my introductions into science fiction, so I could have easily picked The Day of the Triffids as well, but this, I think The Chrysalids was my favourite and still is my favourite of Wyndham's books, which is about a kind of group of weird children that are kind of have special powers. Normal John Wyndham stuff, but yeah, great book. Yeah, so that's Bookstalgic, and the next prompt. This is a channel that I couldn't believe I forgot to do last time, because his channel name's so good for a tag, and that is Book Songs and Other Magic, which is Gareth's channel. And you may know Gareth is also in a band, and he's a musician. So this prompt is a book about or featuring music, but I will also throw in or magic because his name is so good. You can have either magic or music, or bonus points if you can get in both somehow, like a magic harp player or something. I'm going just music, and a book that I again read a lot when I was a teenager, which is High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. And this is kind of a guy looking back at through his relationships, and he works in a record store, and there's loads of musical stuff in here, and I got loads of great musical recommendations from this book when I was a teenager. It introduced me to Bruce Springsteen, so it had to be picked. But you could pick a band biography or a musician biography just as easily. Next prompt is Passage of Time, which is Erica's channel. Again, very good name for a prompt. And Erica focuses a lot on non-fiction, a lot on history. So for this tag, we are going with a book that's set over a long time frame. So it could be a history book, it could be a science fiction book, or it could be a generational book, which, like, I'm a big fan of sort of multi-generational books. So it could just be a normal sort of type of fiction as well. But I'm going to go with Matt Haig's How to Stop Time, because I just think this fits very well, because it's about a man who has lived for like thousands of years. And I remember like loving this, being given it 5 stars when I read it, but I don't remember a lot about it now, so I really need to reread it. But I just love the concept of a man who's been alive for thousands of years and what he's seen throughout history and stuff. That's Passage of Time. Next channel is Sarah, Your True Shelf. So Your True Shelf. And for this, I'm going a book that you couldn't believe was a true story. So this one, it can either be a non-fiction or a fiction based on a true story, but yeah, just a non-fiction would especially fit here, but see what you can come up with. I'm going to go for Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, and this is a story about Louis Zamperini, who was a prisoner of war in the Second World War, and he was like a professional runner as well, and just the ridiculous things that happen to him in this book are unbelievable, and it's quite harrowing, but also sort of quite ridiculous at times. And if it wasn't non-fiction, you'd be like, that's a stupid thing to put in your book. It's unbelievable. But yeah, really good book. I haven't seen the film that Angelina Jolie made, but maybe that's good. I don't know. Let me know if you've seen it. Next prompt is Spread Book Joy, which is Jack's channel, and for this I am going to say a joyous book that makes you happy. So this could be any type of book really, but just one that brings you joy. And I'm going to go with Guards by Terry Pratchett, and I believe Jack's a big fan of Terry Pratchett as well, but again, this is another kind of nostalgic pick for me, because Terry Pratchett's the author who got me into reading, but his books are just very funny as well, and every time I pick one up, I kind of get a wave of nostalgia and happiness, and just I'm laughing straight away. So I'm going Guards, which is the first of of my favourite series of Terry Pratchett, which is his City Watch Guards books. Next prompt is and channel is Book Chat with Pat, Pat's channel. And I'm taking the chat from this, and I'm going to say a book where you love the dialogue. And whenever I think of dialogue, I always think of True Grit by Charles Portis, which is a western about Mattie Ross, whose father is shot in the back in cold blood, and she sets Rooster Cogburn after his killer. But it's just full of brilliant, sassy dialogue. And I will also highly recommend the audiobook version of this, read by Donna Tartt, and she writes a lovely essay at the end about how important the book is to her and her family, and also her voice is amazingly good for this novel. I love it. So that's Book Chat with Pat, another great channel. I'll remind you all, go subscribe to all of these channels if you don't already. I think everyone in the world subscribes to Pat now. And the last channel is Roving Reader, which is Karen's channel. And as you can tell from the title of her channel, she roves around a lot. She's a bit of a traveller. And for that prompt, I'm going to say a book that is set in multiple countries or multiple lands. So, or just a journey kind of book it could be. So this is very good for fantasy and or maybe even history or biography or things like that. I'm going to go for The Nine Princes in Amber, The Chronicles of Amber by Roger Zelazny. And I've chosen this because it's kind of set in the real world and in a mirror world called Amber. Also, there's lots of driving around and stuff in it. But yeah, it's one of those fantasy books that are set in kind of parallel universes, and our world is a reflection of Amber, which is like the one true world. But yeah, these are very entertaining books by Zelazny, science fiction. And that's the nine people. The last prompt is often the hardest, and that is a book that matches your own channel name or of a channel you love. So you can pick another channel that has a good name that you can make a prompt out of. And also this helps me find new channels for the next time I do this tag next year. I'm not going to choose another one because I've already done 9. But I'm going to choose my own name, which is Rubbish. And I'm just going to Aaron read a book or Aaron read a book. I'm just going to say a book I read and a book I'm reading. So the last book I read was Trouble Boys, the true story of the replacements. You can go watch my review video of it, the previous video to this one. Brilliant band biography. I could have chosen it for Book Songs and Other Magic. And the book I'm reading now is Malice, John Gwynne. Great fantasy book. Also set over a lot of places. I could have chosen this for Roving Reader or sort of Passage of Time, because it does take place over quite a long time. But yeah, that's the Booktuber Name Tag 2025 edition. I want to try and do it every year and come up with 9 new channels. But like I said, subscribe to all these channels. I'm going to tag everyone who I've mentioned in this, but you feel free to tag whoever you want. So I hope you enjoy the tag. Have a good one, Booktube. Bye.